now the only centre for contemporary arts in the whole of the North East. We provide vital arts provision to the whole of the area, and where we are in the back of the castle gate is inaccessible. It's no longer even that cheap. It doesn't allow us to provide the sort of facilities that the people of Aberdeen deserve if we're going to compete with other cities. So we desperately needed a new home, and we've spent the last 10 years working towards getting that new home. We had full planning permission for a beautiful design by award-winning architects Peacocks Gonzalez in Union Terrace Gardens, and we would have been breaking ground this December. However, last November, Sir Ian Wood announced his plans to resurrect a 25-year-old vision to completely concrete over Union Terrace Gardens, which is our site. Obviously, if his plan goes ahead, ours can't, so that's presenting us with a lot of problems at the moment. My name's Elli. I'm the campaign director for Peacock Visual Arts, which is a rather grand title, but essentially it means I'm in charge of helping to develop a major new centre for the contemporary arts for Aberdeen. You know, I joined Peacock because I believed in the cultural vision. I believed that the city and the whole region deserved some kind of cultural hub. You look at other cities, Dundee, Inverness, they've all got much more happening in terms of the arts than Aberdeen does. I really felt this project had the potential to have a transformational effect on Aberdeen, and I just wanted to be part of that. The site that we chose, after doing a huge options appraisal, we looked at a lot of places, including the Triple Kirks. The only site that we could make work, that could offer us the amount of space, and could also allow us to do an iconic piece of architecture, was Union Terrace Gardens. We thought by putting this centre in Union Terrace Gardens that not only are you giving us a new home and giving Aberdeen a major new international facility, you're also allowing the gardens to be returned to their proper usage, because they're somewhat unused at the moment.
So what about Sir Ian and his project? What does that involve?
As far as I understand, Sir Ian has committed £50 million of his own money towards a project that would essentially completely deck over or concrete over the whole of Union Terrace Gardens. It would create around 8 acres of new real estate, 5 of them in the form of a large civic square, and another 3 levels of underground real estate. So far the suggestions for that has been 2 levels of underground parking and 1 of a concourse for shops, commercial uses. But in order to create that space, in order to create that real estate, you have to completely eradicate Union Terrace Gardens, which is a mature green space, and that's something that we found that a lot of people have very strong feelings about. At the moment we're in a really precarious position. Having raised 9.5 million, having gone through full planning permission, we've essentially been in limbo for the last year, and limbo is a dreadful place for either a small arts organisation who don't have huge reserves of money. We were really punched above our weight to raise that much money in the first place. You can see by the surroundings here, we're not the most affluent of organisations, as all arts organisations are. So during the 12 months where we've essentially been paralysed from progressing our project as we wait for Sir Ian's project, the viability of that to be investigated, we've lost £250,000 of funding, and we've had to make a couple of people redundant. We've also not been able to raise any more money because no funder, individual donor, corporate, will give you a donation whilst there's such uncertainty about your project. So it's not even been about standing still, we've actually been going backwards. But we still have planning permission. We have planning permission for another 3 years. So to be honest, ethically no one else should be looking at that site if we are the holders of the planning permission. But Sir Ian made his announcement very, very shortly after our funding had been granted by the City Council. Now, that meant the City Council hadn't actually had time between giving us the go-ahead, funding-wise, to actually work out the legalities of our position. The heads of agreement were essentially that we would be leasing the land off them at a peppercorn rent of maybe £1 a year or something like that, but we didn't actually have the written lease for the land. So without the lease, we can't start building on it.
What were your feelings when you found out about this plan?
We were completely shocked and then absolutely devastated. There are people here who've worked towards this for 10 years. I'd only been on it for 14 months, but it was 14 months of blood, sweat and tears, working very hard with a small team of very committed people who were trying to do something that they believed would be transformational in the city. So to suddenly find out that someone else not only had a counter plan, but a counter plan that they weren't willing to negotiate on, and one that was going to blow yours out of the water, I think we were all shell-shocked for a few days. And then we realised how bad it was. I'd just taken on a fundraiser to help me raise the final bit of the money, and we had to let her go, which is horrible, ever letting members of staff go, but especially in the current economic climate. It took her a long time to find other work. And then, yes, we watched £250,000 of European Union money that we had to hand back because the project wouldn't have been completed in time because of the time that's been taken to investigate Syrian's plan. So as a fundraiser, it's harder to let staff go, but it's not easy to watch six-figure sums of money be distributed to other projects. And that is the real fear, that we had £9.5 million committed to Aberdeen. We have £4.3 million from the Scottish Arts Council. That's the largest gift the Scottish Arts Council has ever awarded to Aberdeen or the North East. And there's a very good chance that if the Wood proposal continues, we will have to give that back to central government, and it will be used somewhere else in Scotland. The future for Peacocks, it's pretty grim, to be honest. We've been in this building for 35 years. It's no longer fit for purpose. We cannot bring school children in here. We've got no disabled access. The place is freezing. There's a limit to the people that we can attract. So staying here isn't an option. Although, could we get by here for a little while longer? Well, I guess if we could. But the cathedral, who own the land, who are our landlords, want the site back. So we're going to be homeless in a couple of years anyway. We only have a lease for 2 more years. There's also an issue of schedule of dilapidations on the building. We've been here for 35 years. We have a schedule of dilapidations because of wear and tear on the building that runs to 6 figures. So if we leave here, having lost the money for the new art centre and without a new home in the form of the new art centre, Peacock will be bust. We fulfil in terms of young people, moving image, education, contemporary art, printmaking. That won't exist in the city any longer, and a lot of people will be out of work. Our funding has been threatened to be pulled about 3 times since Syrian's scheme was announced, which actually makes for a really difficult working environment. No one responds well to that kind of uncertainty. People don't mind fighting, but uncertainty is the thing that kills. You kind of used to it by now, but yeah, once again, the funding's coming up for renewal in December, so I may be out of a job in the new year. After that, it's extended till March. If we don't get a positive decision then my job will go, but more importantly, the whole project will collapse. So you can only plan so far ahead. I haven't made any big purchases over the last year, that's for certain. But I think the thing is that for me, on a personal level, there's part of me really wanted to walk away. My boyfriend lives in London. He keeps telling me, get the hell down here. You want to be somewhere which is a bit more stable, which isn't a constant battle. But what you realise is, if you don't fight this, then there's no way of due process being followed. I'm almost, I think passionately, that the Peacock solution is the best first phase solution for the regeneration of the centre of Aberdeen. It's actually been one of the most amazing journeys. I've learned an awful lot, some things I didn't want to learn. The sort of learning curve trajectory has just been through the roof. I've met some amazing people, artists, supporters, people from the business world. It's actually been really encouraging, the amount of support we have. But I thought the first year was a struggle, because any capital project is difficult, especially when you're in a small organisation that doesn't have a lot of money to throw at experts, so you're having to learn on your feet the whole time, which you relish, but it's tiring because you're scared of making the wrong decision because you don't have that backup and that expertise. However, year 2 has been a completely different animal, because that's essentially been about staying alive, not about going forward, and it's been really difficult at times. And yet, something will happen, someone will write you a note to say how supportive they are, you'll have another look at the building designed by our fantastic architects, and you realise it is actually worth fighting for. So you stick in a little bit more, and yeah, it's been interesting.